This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to another episode of Whatever It Takes. I am your host, James Gruenberg, and alongside me, as always, I have John Kesalika. This is Whatever It Takes, a Degrassi Pod. John, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, James, and here we are in a new year, but we are in a familiar place in the Toronto Community Schools of Degrassi here. And what wonderful times we're having is we're really kind of wrapping up coming close to the end of our first season with the group. A lot taking shape, and it's really fun really looking forward to exploring a couple episodes with you guys here tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna get more character development, and our first very deep, like a little deep episode into what will become of the singing for some of the characters here, as we have Ashley here tonight, who's going to be singing as we get into this talent show. And this is like really the first of her singing that she does, and we'll see the singing progress, at least with Ashley, as she goes from like band to band in the seasons here.
Yeah, if there is a constant among teen melodramas or teen sitcoms, high school era sitcoms, it feels to always be that at some point we're going to discover that they want to be in a band, or they can sing, or they can dance, right? And Degrassi is no stranger to that over the years. Today, we're really going to get our first glimpse into that and getting to see even some of the older characters flashing back to their own glory days, as it would be.
Yes, we are. Yep. Uh-huh. So we are in the heart of we're in the back end of season 1. This is Degrassi Next Generation, season 1, episode 13. It is called Cabaret. Terri is reading a Ouija board. Meanwhile, Ashley is playing a piano and singing the song that her and Terri are going to do for the cabaret. Now, they say that the cabaret is a lunchtime or like Friday afternoon talent show. They call it a cabaret in Canada. Terri asks Ashley, is this a duet or a solo? And Ashley assures her it's a duet. And Terri's not really sure about this. As we get our opening credits, she is really like, oh, well, it sounds like Ashley's just trying to sing out for her own career, John.
Yeah, not really. Terri and Ashley not seeing eye to eye on the performance, on the way the song is going to be performed so far, as Ashley has presented this kind of gloomy, brooding song that has some hopeful lyrics to it about being free to be who we are, yet she's slowly, going over them. And Terri just is still kind of taken aback and wondering, hey, I thought it was going to be more upbeat. Now feeling a little dismissed, and we've seen Terri dismissed by Ashley, by Paige, by Spinner, by pretty much everybody all season. This is just even more of that, as she's at least has her mystical tarot cards that she can play around with and find comfort in right now.
Yep. Liberty is on the video screen announcing the lunchtime cabaret show. Paige says that her and Terri should work together in the cabaret, but obviously Terri says that Ashley and Terri are already working together. Paige tells Terri to not let Ashley take over the song choice or theme, and Terri says she is right. When Ashley walks in, Terri says nothing, and homeroom begins as Mr. Radich is still subbing for Miss Kwan. So Radich is still subbing, and we're still getting the effects of what Spinner and Jimmy did to Miss Kwan, but not only what they did, but what Miss Kwan is going through.
Yep. Yeah, some underpinnings of that, and will flow through a couple episodes, which is nice to see the consistency with the show. I love that when we get Paige to just play this kind of mix it up character, and they position her perfectly of sitting right behind and between Terri and Ashley, and she's doing that very, very, instigating moment of just like leaning forward. You want to like do this song with me. Like we can make it so much better. And pulling Terri back and forth. There's a lot of there's a lot of fun to Paige's character, even though she is being pretty kind of creepy, manipulative, and obviously narcissistic in this way. It's nice to see that it's going to really stir the pot in a way.
Yeah, so this really basically just decides what kind of character Paige is. Because she's manipulative. She gets what she wants without consequence. She's like, oh well, I know what to do, and I have all the words to do so.
Yeah, it's funny that they pair her kind of with Spinner at times because her scheming is maybe a little more thought out than some of Spinner's scheming, but it is at the same time still for her own self gain, whether it was trying to get with Toby, meet Toby's mom, the agent, or here trying to finagle her way into the group, or trying to get Manny to have Emma shut down the news article. Everything is for Paige's benefit, but I don't know, maybe it's the fact that it's done in a more charismatic way and a little more, a little craftier than poor Spinner, who seems to fumble his way through those same efforts.
And here it very much is. It's very crafty and smart and thought out. Like she has a motive, and she's going to get that motive here.
Yep.
Emma trying to persuade Sean to be the hunter in her poetic dance act for the show, but he says no. Toby volunteers, and Emma says he's the best. Terri is giving a presentation on oracles and tarot readings, as they say. Is it a tarot reading, John?
Tarot.
Oh. Okay. Spinner volunteers and asks what his first pet's name was, and she uses the board to spell Rocky, and she was right. And then Ashley's like, Terri, you knew that answer. Like Spinner told you that like 2 weeks ago, and she's like, oh really? I forgot. So everyone's believing that Terri is psychic, but she really isn't, according to Ashley.
Oh yeah, Terri has connections with the Mystic Oracle, as she keeps keeps referencing to. And that Mystic Oracle apparently can be connected through Ouija, through tarot, through several different outlets. Contacting the pet with the Ouija board was pretty a common thing to try to do. I don't know if you or your sisters or anybody in your family or friends ever messed around with the Ouija boards or trying to tell fortunes. I think my sister had a Ouija board. I don't recall ever doing anything with it though.
No, but I had like a friend who tried this once, and I was like, "This is weird." Yeah.
Do you have a pet? Do you have a cat? Do you have a pet cat named Rocky, or were your pets' names wrestling related?
No, they were girls, and they were they were regular female names.
We had a cat named Selena after Selena Kyle from Batman, so I had to geek out a little bit.
Nice. And now we see Toby again getting himself into another Toby situation here because he can't stop eyeing Emma.
Right. Well, we kind of glossed over. Hey, Toby stepped up to volunteer right away. Sean won't do this to dance. You know what? I'll step in. Let me do it. Toby to the rescue. Hopefully trying to move up a step on the ladder in Emma's eyes here. Maybe he can win her heart the way and get a date at the mall like Sean has. I think that's Toby's real intention here, as JT kind of eggs him on about.
Yeah, and even he's like, well, really, you want to do this, huh? And he's like, yeah, I know, JT, I really want to do this. So then Paige asks Ashley if she believes in predictions, and Ashley says yes, and Paige and Terri look at each other with smiles. So it seems that Paige's plan is coming into coming into effect here. And Terri is going along with it as well. So Terri is really trying to get Ashley to switch this up a little bit.
Yeah, this is all based around that cabaret, the big moment that everybody in Degrassi apparently is gunning for, to perform at the open mic night during lunch. And, for Paige, she wants to join two girls and a keyboard, yet, Ashley being so steadfast against it, they think they might have found a way in here as the great, kind of manipulative Paige. If the Oracle said it, Ashley, you would have to believe it, right? She's like, well, absolutely. The Oracle said predicted my mom's cancer or whatever she did. It was some like terminal disease that the Oracle caught for one of her family members. So now she believes from that reason.
Mm-hmm. JT tells Toby that he can't dance. He's only doing this to get close to Emma. He's right, but Toby's like, oh, no, I can do this. Go away, JT. So poor Toby getting his hopes up, and hopefully this pans out. Terri,
I was already picturing what kind of odd, like leotard or tutu they were going to put in. I was hoping for a little more for the interpretive dance, that we might really go all out to try to make Toby really earn this, but they do give us a little bit.
Yeah, they let him off the hook for the most part.
Yeah.
Terri is giving Oracle readings. Paige asks if Ashley and Terry's duo should become a trio. Terri pulls out a card that represents the number 3, saying yes, but Ashley won't let her join. Terri and Paige are outside discussing why can't Paige join, and Terri says that the styles will clash. Paige tells Terri to stand up to Ashley when suddenly Manny falls on her ankle. Ashley then says Paige can be in the band because she believes Terri is a real predictor. So now Manny is going to be out because she hurt her ankle, and now all of a sudden Ashley's like, oh my gosh, Terri, you really can predict what's going to happen.
Amazing how all our storylines are kind of mixing together here, and doing a really, really good job of it. We had, the right before the question Paige asks at the table was Manny, and Terri said, well, I don't know, that your competition, your performance might go off with a twist, and that's what we see outside when she actually falls and twists her ankle. That convinces Ashley. Ashley's like, amazing, it's just as you said, you can predict the future, and she's on board. This episode, and I should have mentioned this earlier, is really the first one I remember watching when the new show had started, and I'm glad it was, because it hits so many marks and has really the rhythm of the show down, with different characters interacting and their storylines overlapping. I think this is one of the most fully formed, like, real Degrassi episodes we get. Like, we put in the work, you and I and other people in watching the first 12. But if you were starting here, like, this is a fully formed show now, and it's really moving. There's an energy in this episode.
Yeah, there is. It's an Oracle energy, John. Paige gives a poster to Ashley titled Paige and the Sex Kittens. Ashley says the name of the band will be 3 Girls and a Keyboard. Thank you, Paige. She gives Paige the music to listen to, and she listens to it while Radish is talking. Great time to be listening, and Paige doesn't get caught like Spinner does.
Nope. Again, with that bulky disc, man. Love seeing that flashback to those pieces of equipment. Plus the headphones that are, kind of the foam piece over the speaker that you would put over your ear, as she's, slumped down, and she looks, I don't know, would she be more disappointed and upset listening to the Ashley drone on in the song, or to Radish drone on about whatever Shakespeare they were talking about, right?
Well, she went with the Ashley song, so it must have been better than what Mr. Radish had to say.
There you go.
So now, with Manny injured, she will now have to be the hunter, and Toby has to dance with Emma. He agrees to dance so Emma won't have to pull the number. So again, Toby is just getting, himself into a bigger hole instead of just coming out with the truth. Paige and Terri are in the bathroom looking at Paige's outfit. Paige wants to switch Ashley's music, and Ashley doesn't like Paige's outfit at all. Terri and Paige go to Mr. Simpson with the CD in order to get a symphonizer for the song, and are shocked to learn that Mr. Simpson is in a band called The Zit Remedy, and he starts singing his song, Everybody Wants Something, They Never Give Up, and the girls are like, what? And he goes, never mind. I guess you've never heard of us then. So
it's Mark's, I think the third time we've heard the Zit Remedy song, Everybody Wants Something, from in Degrassi The Next Generation. We heard it in the reunion episodes in the premiere when Joey and everybody were getting together and reminiscing. So now we're hearing it being passed down to the new generation. And yeah, sure enough, the synthesizer scene with Snake is one of my favorites here, as we have the two girls, looking at the computer, and he's mixing his beats, and just with all earnestness, with all sincerity of I'm really gonna make a difference here, hits them with that classic line, "Y'all ready for this?" and starts the beat, and the two girls are bopping back and forth like this is the most amazing music they've ever heard. And Paige, Michael, Chuck, and the Sex Kittens are really, really coming into form here.
I have to say it's really weird that we only saw Joey in the first 2 episodes at the reunion. You would have thought that Joey was gonna stay around and be like Snake's buddy for an episode or 2 in this in season 1, but no, he's off the air here, and the Zit Remedies do not form back together.
No, no, they're left to the dustbin of history for a while still, but we shall see, and hopefully we have more super groups rising like we have with Paige, or 2 girls or 3 girls or whatever they might be, as they're battling out here, because Ashley is overhearing this from the hallways of Degrassi, where she was meant to meet and rehearse with everybody.
Yep. Emma and Toby are practicing their poetry dance, but Toby is not getting it right. JT asks how far will Toby go to impress Emma. Paige and Terri are listening to the new version of Ashley's song. When Ashley overhears it, Paige says, let's see what the Oracle has to say. Terri reads it and says, go with the new. Right before the show, sorry, let me back up here. So Terri, who has no idea what she's doing, but Ashley is buying this hook, line, and sinker. She's saying, it's saying go with the new, even though the real meaning is go with the old. But Ashley buys it and says, okay, we'll go with the new.
Ashley reluctantly goes with it, and you can tell there's something up, because Terri pulls the card and says, it means, and there's some hesitancy, and then she says, yeah, go with the new. So we kind of fade out, and we're left to believe, all right, here we go. We're going to get the new outfits. We're going to get the upbeat song, the pink sunglasses, whatever combination, whatever they find for Ashley to wear, and can they work her into the dance? Hopefully by the Cabaret starts tomorrow, we're going with the new in this version of the group.
Yep. Right before the show, Ashley confronts Paige and Terri, saying Terry's reading was wrong and they should have stayed with the old version. Terri finally speaks up and says Ashley doesn't listen to any of her suggestions. And Ashley basically is like, well, then I'm out and you two can perform. So it's like, now Ashley has to think okay, so I know that my friends lied, but maybe it was for the good, and maybe I should listen to Terri, but she doesn't really do anything. She's just like, nope, you're wrong and I'm right. So Terri and Ashley here are having a little argument here, but Terri finally speaks up for herself.
Yeah, and this still has been a situation where Terri gets pulled in so many directions, whether it's Paige manipulating to try to get herself added into the band, or it's Ashley, kind of running the show, even though it's two girls. It's a duo, as we saw in the first scene. I thought we were a duo. No, but this is a great version. Don't you feel like we're a duo? The gaslighting that goes on with Terri from both sides, she's finally standing up to. Ashley, in true Ashley form, went home and did research on tarot cards after having the reading, right? You know what? I don't think that's accurate. Let me see. And she finds, the one you pulled actually means stick with the old. So good luck, suckers. Basically like wishing that they don't perform as
well. Again, Ashley does not listen to anyone's ideas. She just wants it her way or the highway. Yep. Meanwhile, Emma, Manny, and Toby perform their poetry dance. Everyone starts laughing. Sean tells everyone to shut up and let them dance. And they do finish it, much to Toby's terrible dancing. Ashley, at the last minute, decides to leave the group after Terri decides to go with the new song version. Paige and Terri perform it and get a nice round of applause as Ashley looks on. So Sean, again, coming and saving the day a little bit by telling everyone to shut up and let them do their thing, because he knows how much this means to Emma, even if he is not a part of it.
Yeah, big moment for Sean here, and big moment as Emma recognizes this kind of, knight in shining armor in a way, maybe a noble effort, noble deed by Sean, who is, quieting the usual characters of Spinner, Jimmy, and the crowd who are chuckling with good reason for the awkward interpretive dance representing the endangered Canada Panthers up there. I know the Florida Panthers. Stanley Cup champions, but the Panthers in Canada, I wasn't aware, were up against such endangerment. So kudos to Emma for bringing this issue to light. But yeah, for all the work Toby has done on stage and in rehearsing for dance to try to get close to Emma, we see him flailing around and dying on stage, being laughed at. Seems that maybe all it took was, standing up and shouting at a couple people to be quiet, maybe to really catch Emma's eye here.
Yeah. Ashley, at the last minute, decides to leave the group after Terri decides to go with the song's new version. So Paige and Terri perform it by themselves, and they get a nice round of applause as Ashley looks on through the door. Emma tells Toby he was great on stage. And then Emma then thanks Sean for standing up to the crowd and kisses him on the cheek. And Toby's looking a little disgruntled. Ashley says Paige and Terri rocked it out there, and she wants back in. Paige and Terri agree, and they come up with a new name for the band titled PMS.
Yeah, we've got the abbreviation of Paige Michalchuk, and the Sex Kittens. It's edgy, they agree, and they say, yeah, this could be fun. Although they do consult the Oracle for it. Grooney, you and I have gone back and forth on Toby, or maybe more back on my side and more forth with you throughout this season. But here, a genuine kind of feeling of concern for him, or I felt bad for him here because he really had put in this effort, and he is in the middle of asking Emma something. He's like, hey, this was really fun. Maybe one time you and I could, and she just walks off, mid-sentence on him to go thank Sean instead. So you do kind of have to feel bad for the guy here.
Yep, you do. He really did try here, but it's his own fault because he got himself into a deeper and deeper hole instead of just being honest. But I can understand where Toby is coming from. I would do basically what Toby did if I was in his shoes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Came close, but back to the drawing board.
Yep. MVP, John, who do you have?
My MVP for this episode is easily Paige. Paige drove a lot of the action. Paige was the one who was able to come up with the scheme about the Mystic Oracle. Paige initiated the more upbeat version of the song that has, half a verse, like most songs on Degrassi that have either a chorus or maybe like two lines around a chorus. Paige was the one who initiated the new costumes and everything. This was a Paige whirlwind, and she really carried things forward.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Paige as well. I think it was also her idea that she knew Mr. Simpson used to be in a band, and he can help us with this, I believe.
Yeah. Scheming, but for good reasons at sometimes. And also, it turns out that they had a positive effect in the end. Everybody was happy. Like, hey, this group, yes, was put together kind of for her selfish reasons to get her into it, but they all feel in a better place. Terri's actually, advocating for herself, actually speaking her mind and not just getting trampled on by her friends. We've moved on from having to rely on Taro and Ouija. It seems like, they've really kind of come to a good place here.
Uh-huh. And who is your LVP, John?
I'm going to stick with the group. I'm going to stick with two girls and a keyboard, and I gotta lean on Ashley as the LVP. Ashley, yes, the part of the creative minds behind the group and sticking to her guns, but also kind of set that in motion of the whole plot in motion by not really being a good partner and duo with Terri. She also seems really kind of stuck in her ways and kind of stubborn in listening to anything or even being opening to change on the group. Finally, when she comes around at the end, it helps. So a bit of redemption, but I don't know. We could have avoided a lot of this had Ashley been a bit less Ashley.
Yeah, if she would have just listened to reason instead of just going by with herself.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, so that's going to do from us.
Trying to think if there were any other MVP, LP, like honorable mentions here. Well, I don't know, the curb for twisting Manny's ankle and giving Toby the opening to be in the show. I
feel like Toby could have gotten LVP too, because it's like, he did not just like listen and go with like listen to JT as well. It's like, dude, just don't do this.
Don't change everything about you and volunteer for something just for a girl. Toby's learning this in grade 7, so maybe it'll stick with him as he enters into high school.
Yep. So now we're gonna move on to our next episode. This is episode 14, called Under Pressure, and we start off with Sean and his brother Tracker. So see the return of Tracker, Sean's brother here, and what kind of a home life Sean lives in. They're working on a motorcycle, and Sean is reviewing for a media merge test as well. At first, I thought it was a history test here, John, but it is not. It is a media merge test.
Media immersion, MI. Media immersion is, apparently like the most important class at all of Degrassi, as these students are in media immersion throughout the seasons, and typically it's taught by Snake. So yes, as media, we saw them in the pilot get to see the new lab with all the computer stations, and that's the class that they're studying for, which basically sounds like it's just a history of multimedia. The evolution from radio to television and computers. It seems that's what they're discussing. I love getting this glimpse into Sean's home life and welcoming Tracker back. Always seemed to have a bit of a kind of a more level head and grounded sense of things, and gives us more of a well-rounded feel of where Sean's coming from, because there is still a bit of mystery about this character.
Yeah, and we're going to find it out here as well. Mm-hmm. Tracker warns Sean that his mom will call wanting him to come back, and that she's off the hooch, basically, John.
Off the hooch, calling from, I love when we get to learn new Canadian towns, Wasaga Beach.
I was
like, Wasaga Beach.
What
sounds like a spring break spot, right?
I was going to say, Wasaga sounds like it's like right out of Sonic the Hedgehog terms. Mm-hmm. Wasaga!
It's like, yeah, right after the Green Hill Zone, you do Wasaga
Yep.
Zone. Like,
Yep. So Tracker says that she's obviously going to want Sean to come back home, but he doesn't want to move back because he's been doing a lot better. His brother says, don't worry, and to stay out of trouble. Everyone is worried about this media test. Sean asks Emma to help him study. Meanwhile, Liberty is badgering Mr. Simpson about the test. So
So a couple character notes there. When in that conversation with Tracker, we see kind of a bit of an outburst from Sean in that emotional anger, because he definitely, we're still not sure why, but he indicates, hey, I'm not moving back to Wasaga. I'm not moving back with mom and dad. Part of that we would imagine is because of the alcohol, as Tracker said, oh yeah, she's not drinking now. And maybe that was the reason. But, even Sean flips over the toolbox and Tracker says, hey, do some of the tricks they taught you to calm down. So again, just that introducing, obviously this is somebody who is, done some sort of treatment or self-help to try to deal with anger issues, which we've probably seen a little bit of during the year, as fight with Jimmy earlier in basketball where they would get into it, or just, even being able to stand up, at the concert last week. That's not so much an anger issue, but showing that power and that control over it, maybe that he's able to do so now. Here, flipping out when he's not doing well in prepping for the test shows that there are still some issues there that he needs to work on.
It's also a mention of his mom, too. I guess from Sean's perspective, his mom wasn't good for him and, didn't do all the right things for Sean in Wasaga.
Absolutely.
But it's like, what did you do the first time to leave Degrassi to go to Wasaga?
Yeah, that's never discussed. I think they just moved. I think it was just like, oh, we're moving to Wasaga,
I hope so. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But I mean, maybe the pressure was from Degrassi the first time. They were like, hey, we need to move. And then now this happened. So we'll find out what happens with Sean in this episode here. Jimmy makes a locker remark, and Sean asks, what's it supposed to mean? And says nothing except, you're moving up to the 8th grade next year. And it's like, well, Jimmy, why do you care? I mean, you're moving up to high school. Why do you care about an 8th grader?
Right. Yeah, just planting seeds here as we've seen it all season long with Jimmy and Sean. I think one of the first things Jimmy said to him was like, hey man, don't worry, I'll smooth it over with the guys and they'll think it's okay, even though you had to stay back a year. What? Thanks a lot. Don't do me any favors, Jimmy.
And then Sean thinks that Jimmy made a remark saying, oh, you failed you're going to fail again and you're going to have to repeat 7th grade again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's not because he failed, it's because they moved that he was here. So definitely a bit of resentment and, Jimmy punching down here. Jimmy really kind of, maybe go back home and give a call to Alfredo about and get a new pizza there, Jimmy, instead of being a jerk to your classmates.
Yeah, because your mom's not coming home to make you dinner or anything.
yeah. We need somebody to fill Sean in on this to be able to turn it back around. You had pizza again last night, Jimmy? Yeah.
Oh, did Antonio take care of you?
It was Antonio. Yeah, great.
Spinner is bouncing his basketball around. Paige doesn't want to be late, but they run into an old returning face, as it is not Mr. Radich who welcomes them to class. It is the return of Miss Kwan. So Miss Kwan is back, says they're late and they don't have a great excuse. So she welcomes them in as late people. Mr. Radich. Excuse me. Mr. Radich welcomes her back to the classroom. Miss Kwan's husband has finished his chemo.
The most just still inappropriate sharing of personal information with the with the students. Here's Miss Kwan, and then they're like, let's start by what's going on with your husband's terminal illness?
She said it bravely, and I think Miss Kwan wants to be one with her students. She'll answer. She's a tell-all teacher. She appreciates them caring as much as she wants to be a caring teacher as well to them if they have any questions. Because if you remember going back to when Emma first got her period, Emma goes, "There's nothing wrong with that, is there, Miss Kwan?" And she says, "Absolutely not. Continue."
Absolutely not. Continue. Yeah, but I feel like I don't know. I think you might be giving Kwan a little too much credit. It was after she left that that Radich was just like, "Well, here's the deal. She's been dealing with some mental problems, and her husband's in the hospital." that opened the door for that.
Yep. Spinner gets an idea when Oscar, we see Oscar again after he shows up for like 3 scenes in Paige's Spirit Squad, says he doesn't feel well, and Spinner gets an idea that if Oscar's sick, I could be sick too. So Spinner is again trying to scheme getting out of this test again.
Yeah, what a parallel to, like, we had some schemes in last episode that worked out, that were pretty well executed and actually kind of creative, versus Spinner putting together one on the spot here to hopefully not have to take Miss Kwan's test. And yeah, Oscar goes from Spirit Squad member to, can I go to the nurse?
Emma and Sean go to Sean's house to study instead of them going to Emma's house. Tracker asks Emma if she's going to be a good influence on Sean, because Tracker says Sean's been great all year since meeting Emma. Sean and Emma are studying. Emma lets slip that Tracker said Sean got into trouble. Sean comes clean that he got into a fight with a kid back home and made him deaf in 1 year. Sean says he isn't proud of it. So we finally get the reason why.
We got the reason here. And we got to pause here. It's such a Degrassi moment for me, especially the way it gets referred to over and over again later, is that, I heard he deafened a boy. they deafened someone. It's such an odd phrase to use, an odd term. I know it's the verb we would use, but that was the trouble Sean was kind of quote unquote running from, or that's like, the skeleton in his closet. What did you think? Did this seem like a big reveal? Did this seem like, oh, okay, he got in a fight back home? Or did you think it earned the level of kind of, this guy is on the run from something?
I feel like it did, because if he deafened a kid in the ear, that's pretty bad.
Well, but it's funny to me, like, they kept softening it. It was like he lost his hearing. He was deafened in both ears. No, 1 ear. Absolutely. Will he hear again? Again? Probably. Like, maybe it's like, what? So he's gonna be okay.
That actually did happen to a kid in when I was a senior. I think this kid's brother was like a sophomore, and he started beating on a kid, and apparently he punched him and deafened him for maybe a week or so. He lost his hearing. It was like, oh shit, and the kid who beat him up got expelled. So yeah,
oh, wow.
People deafen people.
Did he move to Wasaga?
No, he just came back. He just went to school in the library.
Ah, okay.
We do have expelled kids here.
I think your school has to really reevaluate their definition of expelled.
Yes. Well, yeah, you can still graduate. You can't go on school property, but they let you try and still get your diploma.
Okay.
And Emma accidentally burns their popcorn as that scene ends out. The next day is the media merger test. But before that, Spinner tells Paige his scheme to get sick for his test with Miss Kwan. He doesn't do well with Mr. Armstrong, says, as he got an F. So let's back this up here. Spinner is so proud that he got a 51. Yeah. And then, here's the funny thing. Mr. Armstrong starts announcing everybody's grade for this test.
I think this is something we see sometimes in sitcoms and TV shows, but the announcing, the broadcasting of like how people did in front of the rest of the class really seems like that would get a teacher in some serious trouble here, to be like, most of you did well except for one student right here, like, and stand in front of them.
Yeah, but he's like, oh, Miss Kerwin got 95, Miss Michaelchuk, you got 83. It's like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Like, don't announce like what we got.
Yeah,
I was just like, I was like, what? He's announcing what these kids got in his tests? What the heck?
As with anything with this show that we find kind of weird or off-putting, we could just chalk it up to, well, they're Canadian, right? It must be a Canadian thing.
Uh-huh. Sean is struggling a little with the test, and the 45 minutes is up. Sean is frustrated he didn't finish all the questions. And Liberty just being like, oh, that's 45 minutes. The time's up. It's like, shut up, Liberty. Just because you wasted doesn't mean the rest of us did.
You're locked out at 45 minutes and then zips right back off screen. Perfect timing blocking in that for the character, as she has popped in to be like really obnoxious, talking to Radich with her math calculations, and then right here with a little stinger line to Sean. They're starting to really nail the Liberty character too. It's really fun to see.
Yeah, I can't wait till we see the episode where Sean finally gets back at Liberty for all of her remarks. You know which episode I'm talking about. Has to do with a butter knife. Sean is frustrated he didn't finish all the questions. He runs into Jimmy, who's joking around with him. Sean shoves Jimmy, but Armstrong breaks it up before it escalates. Sean says to Jimmy he will see him after school. So this little fight between Sean and Jimmy, it's on.
Let's do it. Yeah, classic. Set up the fight. Two students with a little tension over what we don't know. It's just like this constant walking past the locker. Jimmy can't just walk down the hallway, has to say something. And yeah, Sean's on edge a little bit after, maybe not doing as well on the test since he didn't finish. He's uncertain. He's going to respond. He's lashing out, and it's on after school, wherever it will be, off school grounds, hopefully, so that we can't really get in trouble. We know that from high school fights or or elementary, middle school fights. Make sure you're like not on the school grounds.
Oh, I will say I've seen fights in school. It was pretty interesting, and John, so my high school and middle school were attached to each other, kind of like Degrassi is, but it was so weird. Like you would have to. The library where the middle schoolers had to go get books was in the high school too, so there was no way around it. You just carry the library pass and hopefully you made it out. I remember seeing these two kids fight, and then the principal came over, was like, break it up, you two, go to the library, like you're like good little middle schoolers, like, okay, bye. It was so bad. It's like, what took you guys so long? There was a fight. It's like, oh man, come on. It's like, yeah, but
you gotta. If that's like a courtyard or something that passes through, you can have everybody from the classrooms going to the windows, looking down, watching it. I'm sure.
Yeah. So okay. Spinner tells Miss Kwan he doesn't feel well, so he goes to the nurse's office. Jimmy tells the 8th grade class that he's going to fight Sean, and Ashley's like, if you do, I won't talk to you again. Like, this is ridiculous. Sean arrives to Mr. Simpson's late, and he acts out in the class. Then Spinner sees the nurse, but his body temperature is normal. The nurse figures out that Spinner was faking it, and she goes, and he goes, it's a male nurse, I'm surprised. Mm-hmm. He goes, oh, well, there's only one way to find out, and I have to stick this around your rectal area. So he's like, all right, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, we got to finally see what Spinner's plan was after Oscar was sick. Obviously, he catches Terri drinking tea in class and, coughing and sneezing, and he offers to go throw out her cup, but, in a way only Spinner would think, much like trying to plant bugs in the cafeteria or his other schemes here. He's like, I can kind of like lick or take the germs from the cup that Terri was drinking, and that'll get me sick instead. Not always the most. I mean, I guess when we're talking about sickness, you're not doing a hygienic way of running a scheme. But yeah, Spinner not really thinking these through.
No.
And that's what lands him at the nurse, trying to fake his sickness, whether it's from running around the hallway to get heated up, but his body temperature is the same. Perfect rebuttal by the rebuttal from the nurse here, offering, here we go, we'll use this thermometer instead, only for Spinner to say, peace out, man, I'm going back to class.
Yeah, Ms. Kwan then lets him take the test, and she says for him to focus and breathe. Like, even if Spinner is acting like a jerk and trying to weasel his way out and run away from test, Ms. Kwan still believes in him, and says for him to focus and breathe. Mr. Simpson asks what is going on with Sean. He says he's a failure. Simpson says that if he believes it, then he is a failure. Spinner is happy. Yeah. Go ahead.
I said, wow, Snake with the deep knowledge here, hey, what we believe in ourselves, is going to manifest itself. So hopefully they can get through to Sean, but he is dead set now with this mind feeling he might be a failure, ready to take it out on our man, Jimmy Brooks.
Yep. Spinner is happy he passed his test. Jimmy runs into Sean, and they agree to meet in an alley, like you said, John. Sean had a very sneaky line. He said, "Oh, Jimmy, no wonder why you're soft." He's like, "Oh, Jimmy, you're so soft. No wonder why Coach Armstrong cut you from the team." And Jimmy's like, "Hey, man, at least I didn't fake an injury just to get me off the team." So, which is so bad because Jimmy really did Jimmy did cause Sean's injury.
Yeah, Jimmy's the one who shoved him for the not broken, but sprained ankle or whatever. So, but accused him of hamming it up maybe a little bit here.
So they're in the alley. They both shove each other. Sean punches Jimmy a couple of times. When Emma tries to break them up, Sean shoves her to the ground and walks off. The next day, Ashley's mad at Jimmy for fighting Sean, and Spinner is celebrating him passing Miss Kwan's test when he starts to sneeze and gets sick. And Terri goes, "Oh, well, that's how my cold started, just with a sneeze." And Spinner starts sneezing profusely after he says, "Oh, my dad got me these concert tickets and whatnot." So it's not gonna be a fun weekend for Spinner as he starts to get very, very sick.
Oh yeah, so the comic relief that comes in with Spinner, we gotta have these wonderful dramatic moments going on, but of course, poor Spinner, hey, he worked his plan, and that didn't work, but he figured out how to focus and believe in himself, and then he could actually do well on the test. Maybe get a C, get above that 51 that he had before, and is obviously looking forward to his weekend, but cue the wah wah horns as he starts coughing and looks like he'll be actually laid up with the flu this weekend, just as his plan worked a little too late. I like the Jimmy stuff here. He's all braggadocio. Hey, the guy ran off. He was too afraid. Like, what a coward. As kind of playing it up. And Ashley not terribly impressed. Says, "Oh, and you're really brave for getting in a fight." So seeds of maybe some sort of tension there planted, but everybody kind of with their own perspective on what happened at the fight. And obviously Sean trying to rectify what happened between him and Emma there.
Yep. Mr. Simpson tells Sean he passed and pulled his grade up to a B- and to be proud of himself. Sean then is patting himself on the back, but he knows he has to go and make things right. He apologized to Emma, but Emma says she's sorry too, and she walks away from him. So we're back to getting those sad endings here, John.
A sad one indeed. Yeah, it felt like we had come so far. Early in the episode, we see Emma congratulated by Tracker for being a good influence. Her kind of her doubt started creeping in because she's just uncertain. What does it mean that he had gotten in trouble or had issues? Sean, despite all his efforts to control that anger and to be a better person, is still has flaws, and that unfortunately showed itself here in the middle of the fight where Emma got involved. Hopefully, there's a way for them to be able to reconcile, because there seems like a genuine concern and desire to do so on Sean's part. He's grateful for her and all the help she gave him, and genuinely sorry. So we will see, though, as we have one couple that had really seemed to be kicking off is now drifted apart again, and everybody else kind of back in their rightful places.
Yeah, so we're going to see where these two go, and what's going to happen between, Jimmy and Ashley, as well, as Ashley is not happy with Jimmy as much as Emma is just not happy with Sean at all.
Yeah, if you track the relationships, let's think about it. Like, we had Jimmy and Ashley at the very beginning of the season. We're in, 7 months had been together. We're asking Dr. Sally, is it the right time or anything for them to take it seriously, to have sex. We had that on Jimmy's birthday, she was ready to break up with him because he's so clingy, but then they were happy again together. And it seems that now all of a sudden she's seen a side of him in this almost bullying that Jimmy did. That's giving her even a little pause now. So that relationship has definitely had its ebbs and flows. And then Emma and Sean has been, a bunch of false starts. And then after the date, when Sean took the picture from her, it seemed like, okay, we're really off and running, especially as she gives him the kiss after the cabaret last episode. But now that's been thrown a huge wrench as Sean's kind of violent angry side showed itself.
Yeah, what else? What else I'd like to point out is that there is no relationship at all between Spinner and Paige. I think Terri definitely could have gotten a second chance and swooped in, but she's too nice to do anything against Paige's wishes, huh?
Yeah, we don't know. And who is he getting biology notes from now if he's getting 51s in classes still? Or maybe that class he's doing okay. Is that right? Wasn't that their like the coded language we had at the beginning was like, hey, Terri, thanks for your biology notes. And Paige was like, he won't be needing your notes anymore.
Well, hopefully it wasn't Oscar's, because Oscar got the wrong notes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also, we didn't see Hazel. Well, we saw Hazel like once in this episode, was just saying, "Oh, you're gonna fight," but then we don't even see Manny, JT, or Toby. Really, it's just all about some of the older kids here.
Mm-hmm. But also, once again, storylines intertwining in a really meaningful way. So these two episodes, I think, are. I said before, like, where the show is really starting to come into form. There's been, even from a technical side, there's been a lot of really noticeable different camera movements. Like, it's been really, really aggressive with the motion in it. They're whipping between characters as they're talking. It feels less staged. It feels more like walking along with the characters. It's really, really hitting its heart here. And I can see why, thinking back, that I mentioned Cabaret was the first episode I remember watching and catching on the end, or Teen Nick, whatever it was called at that point, and saying, oh, wow, this, a new Degrassi, and it seems pretty good. I stuck with it. Had my first episode been, I don't know, a Parents' Day or one of the earlier ones, I would have been like, oof, they're really asking us to do some work here, right?
So who is your MVP here, John?
MVP for this episode has got to be Sean. Sean, this is an episode built around him, built around his, the positives that have happened for him in this year back at Degrassi, as well as some of the challenges that still lie there for him. We learn more about what happened with him in Wasaga and what happened with, maybe what's brought him here in the first place. Plus, he is, coming to terms with accepting and feeling grateful for what Emma's done for him. We're rooting for him at the end here, and hoping that he can, get back what it seems like he might have lost.
Would you say this was his coming of age episode for Sean?
For Sean, what was the earlier one? His basketball episode's a pretty good one too. This is probably his strongest. He also looks like noticeably older in this episode. like it looks like the last episode they shot 6 months earlier. Maybe it's just a haircut or whatever, but it definitely looks a little different.
Yeah, so I would give Sean the MVP as well, and your LVP.
LVP, the one with the most platinum records on the whole audience, it's got to go to Jimmy, Drake himself, Jimmy Brooks. Whereas Paige's pot stirring usually has some good intentions behind it. And I don't know about good intentions or anything, or at least has a purpose. Jimmy's just antagonism of Sean is completely pointless. Like, I'm walking down the hall. I'm just going to make sure to say something obnoxious to this person every day when I see him.
Jimmy looked like a goof here.
He looked what?
He looked like a goof in this episode, Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh, the oversized 555 soul gear and stuff. He just, take it easy. Take it down, Jimmy. Go back to making out with Ashley, Yeah.
Like, his dissing did nothing. He really, it taught him that, maybe I should keep my mouth shut, because Sean got some good punches in, and Jimmy did not even throw one punch at all. He took it. I would say
Jimmy gets beat up here. Not exactly a good showing for him. All the Kendrick Lamar fans can throw this on loop, and
That's a good one too. Yeah, I feel like this was the one episode I was waiting for. Because I saw the fight, I was like, oh, where's the fight from? And I was like, oh, this has to be early on, because I don't even think they get into a fight at school again between Sean and Jimmy. So I was like, this has to be around the season 1 era, because they're so small too. So
yeah.
There you have
Sean and Jimmy, I think, if you think about it, as the seasons go on, Sean and Jimmy are never really tied together that much. Like they feel like different. I
think they will be between one of the new characters in season 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say who that is, but they'll be around a couple of episodes together. All right, John. Well, that's going to do it from us here. When we come back for our next episode next time, it's going to be the season 1 finale for Degrassi, and there were only 15 episodes here, so we're going to do the episode, and then we're going to just take a look back at season 1. We're not going to get into season 2 until the next one after, because I might want to see if I can get a guest on for the season 2 opening, as it is a 2-parter. As you'll know, as most of our listeners will understand, that if you did watch Degrassi Next Generation, they're all 2-parters that open up the seasons.
Yeah, always bringing in the big storylines to try to reconnect with the characters from last year, and also introduce anybody new. So 2 parts, great way to start the season. I'm really looking forward to next time. I think the series finale or season finale of season 1 definitely puts a lot more in motion, and is a great capper to what becomes one of the more notable premiere seasons of teen shows that we've had in the 2000s.
And it's going to open up our eyes to what people become, and we might get a little drug references and our introduction to drugs in the season 1 finale as well.
There you go. Let's do it.
Well, John, that's going to do it from us on the Next Generation, whatever it takes episodes. But before we go, do you have anything that you want to direct the listeners to?
Hey, I would always direct anybody who likes teen shows like this, or TV and podcasts with people who watched them 20 years ago and know way too much about them, to direct your attention to the 9021 No So podcast. It's on its own network or linked to on Place to Be. You'll get Tim and Justin doing a great job breaking down each episode, and with a rotating crew of guests. They are in the middle of season 3, which is a pretty key one here. Everybody's still in high school, but we're seeing the Dylan, Kelly, Brenda love triangle really take shape. And I think going back and remembering watching those growing up, and also just reconnecting with those characters has been a blast. So check it out if you like this and want to hear it from a California perspective and how they were doing it down there. 90210 is a great place to be. Check out the music video vaults that are music video recaps that go up every day on Facebook that Andy posts. I think they're great. There's some real good theme weeks that come in, and it's always fun to get started watching a fun music video each day. But that's it from me.
Yep, as for me, you can mostly find me on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. I have 2 shows on there. I have Nation Invasion, where I look back on the invasion era of 2001 when WCW and ECW formed the alliance and invaded the WWF. I just finished the October 1st Raw and October 4th SmackDown with Jeremy Nichols. We go over Rob Van Dam versus Kurt Angle for everything on the line. If Rob Van Dam wins, Stone Cold gets his rematch in Indianapolis on October 8th. But if Kurt Angle wins, he gets to face The Rock title for title, WWF title versus WCW title. So we'll see who won that matchup, and will Austin get his rematch on the next Monday Night Raw. And also on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, I have Extreme Resurrection, where me and Steve, my co-host Steve Riddle, we go over ECW on the Sci-Fi Network from 2006 to 2010. We are currently getting into the last of 2007 into 2008, where new SmackDown superstars are going to come to ECW, and we hope that ECW superstars have a better 2008. 2007 was better, but it's not looking good here for CM Punk's title reign. So we'll see where that comes from. We'll see how that turns out into 2008. But I want to thank you, John, for covering these 2 episodes, and we will see you next time for the season 1 finale of Degrassi Next Generation. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time.